Now, just shifting gear a little bit, because this is what I really want to talk to you about, genetic expression profiling, and how is this technology being used in diagnosing and managing melanoma. And before we even jump into that topic, maybe you can explain to the audience what exactly is genetic expression profiling?
So, genetic expression profiling really involves a test looking at the melanoma tumor. So, the primary melanoma tumor, once the patient has had a diagnosis of melanoma, the tumor has been removed from that specimen from which the diagnosis is made. Sections are cut and put on a slide, and from that material, RNA is isolated. This is genetic material that's encoded by the DNA in cells that specifies protein expression. And the RNA is analyzed using a specific assay called polymerase chain reaction that's specifically designed for specific genes that have been predetermined to be correlated with high risk of melanoma metastasis. And so essentially what you're doing is you're looking at the patient's tumor and assessing relative expression of a finite number of genes ranging anywhere from 8 to 30, depending on what test you're using. And then based on the relative expression of these particular genes, a risk score is developed that correlates with risk of metastasis.
This sounds, from the layman's perspective, right? And this sounds really exciting, cutting edge. Does this work? How good is it?
Well, I think it does work. And the challenge is figuring out, first of all, it's a very expensive test. It costs thousands of dollars. And so it's not a test like a simple blood test that may only cost $100 that, maybe there'd be no harm in getting sort of additional testing. This is a test really should be carefully considered. And you have to also consider the potential pitfalls. So with any test, there can be a false positive or a false negative. So in other words, there's always a chance with a test result that it might underestimate the risk of metastasis, in which case it might give you false reassurance. There also would be the risk of overestimating the risk of metastasis, in which case it might create undue anxiety for the patient. So these are things to consider. And I